Hello, my name is Eric Taylor from Agile Trailblazers, and today I'm going to give you an overview of the Atlassian suite. There's a number of tools that Atlassian provides that integrate very well. We're going to cover Confluence, JIRA, and focus on JIRA Agile as well. We're going to cover the Bamboo server, Bitbucket, and Stash, which is now called Bitbucket server. And we're going to really show how those tools can be integrated together to really meet the needs of a development team. So a good place to start is with the Confluence homepage. So what you see in front of you is a space for a given team. And this demo uses a company called Teams in Space, a fictional company. And so what the main screen is really about is communication and collaboration. So it really shows all of the activity that's been going on from all the contributors in the company. It lets people comment on those things. It really gives people a sense of who's working on what. It's a great place to ask questions and for team members to work together. So let's take a look at the space in more detail. The way Confluence is set up is you have a header navigation here, but on the side you also have your page tree. So within a given space, you can have multiple subpages. So here's an example of a subpage that just describes who people are. To show you how Confluence works, we can go in and we can edit that, and that would let us change things. We can change whatever we want here. We can simply save those, and we've made those changes. So not everything can be managed online. So Confluence also provides a number of ways to help people run meetings and keep track of what's in meetings. So I'm going to show you one of the features around meeting notes. So there's a meeting notes section here, and this is a place where meetings can be kept track of. So one of the things Confluence provides is a lot of templates for creating different sorts of pages. So I'll click on the Add Meeting Notes button here. And as you can see, meeting notes help you do a few things. They can crowdsource your agenda, so you can plan a meeting and people can see what the agenda is in advance and add to it. You can capture meeting minutes and everyone can collect them in one place, and then you can create and assign tasks. So we'll hit create. So this is a standard meeting template that's provided. It can be customized. So let's go ahead and adjust the date of the meeting to be on Friday. And let's mention some people that are going to be here. And in Confluence, you can use the @ symbol to look anybody up. So we'll go ahead and add a meeting attendee there, and then we can add some information like that. When we're ready, we can save that. And so now we have our new meeting here created, and other people can see it. Additionally, anybody can edit this, plus people can write comments on it. Again, using the @ symbol to look for different people and add information. In Confluence. If I go on the left panel here and click on Calendars, what we end up seeing is a shared team calendar. And this calendar really covers all of the events that are going on for the team. So you'll see things in different colors. So things in green would be sprint activities, or things in blue would be sprint planning. There's also people who have vacation time can put that on the calendar as well, keeping everybody up to date on what's going on. So to add an event, I simply go to the Add Event button here. I can pick from different sort of events in the calendar here. So maybe I'll create a new team meeting. Choose the date that's going to occur. Repeats or not, from a who perspective, I can add people in there. If I say OK, then that will appear on the calendar. The other thing that can be done here is you can actually create new calendars specific to groups. So I can add a calendar, and I can say add a new calendar, and I'll call this Team 2. I'll hit OK. And then I can see that I have a new calendar that appears over here. And I have certain options where I can actually click on it, and I can say, let's create some restrictions for this calendar. And maybe we want this calendar to be restricted to a subset of people. So I have the ability to enter a name in here and then restrict that. I can also change other things about the calendar. I can, have people subscribe to it through a link, or I can change the event type as well. JIRA. So one of the nice things is that all the Atlassian tools integrate very well. There's the menu in the top left, and if I click on that, I can have access to the other tools such as Bamboo or Bitbucket, and of course JIRA. So we'll click on JIRA and we'll go over to the system dashboard for JIRA. So what I want to focus on right now is how to look at issues and issue tracking. So in the top menu, if you go to issues, you can search for issues. So what this will do is this will give you really a list of all the issues that are in JIRA and provide a really powerful way for you to filter and find what you're looking for. So for example, there's two forms of search. There's the basic and an advanced, and this is the basic search. So I can filter by project. So I just want to see things in the Teams and Space project. I can filter by type. I just want to see bugs, or I just want to see epics, things of that nature. And then I can also filter by status. So I can say, just show me the open items, and then I'll be narrowed down to the open items. Or I could look at assignee and say, let me just see all the things that are assigned to me. And so I'll be able to see those. What's also nice is that you can use the JQL language that's provided in JIRA to do more powerful searches. So if you go to advanced, you can see this is an example of one of the searches, and I can modify this. So I could say, give me everything in status, open, and say reopened. And then I can run that query. So it gives me a very powerful way to do those searches. There's two views you can look at. This is the list view, where you see everything as a list. You can also see the detail view, which will give you all of the items over here and give you a preview of each issue, the details on the left. So we'll switch back to list view. So let's go into one of the issues here. We'll go into this one and take a look at what an issue looks like in JIRA. So every issue has an ID and a title, and things can be edited by hovering over those, and I can change those as needed. There's a lot of other details that are available. It's who is it assigned to, who reported it. There's voting and watching. So watching is powerful if you want to make sure that somebody else is alerted of these things. You can start typing. You can add them there. You can also add a description in here, and you can also track comments. So I could comment on this and say, test, and add that, and now I have a comment on there, and other people can respond to those comments, or they can add information as well. If we go back to the issues page, again, we can see anything that would be updated here. We can go to any of the Scrum Teams Agile boards. So we'll go to the Scrum Team and Space board here. So some basic explanation of the board here. On the left, you'll have the sort of quick links bar where you're able to toggle between the different views, such as the backlog view, look at the active sprints, or look at reports, or some other things. This can be collapsed or it can be expanded. We'll start with the backlog view, which is the default view here. And so what this shows us is the current sprint, or any sprints we plan for the future. In addition, it will show the remaining backlog. And so we can reprioritize items in the backlog through drag and drop, move things around. We can add items and things like that. If I want to, if the current sprint's sprint 8 and I want to start to prep the next sprint, I can simply click Create Sprint and start to drag items into a future sprint for prioritization. So the other thing to take a look at is the active sprint. So we'll take a look at the active sprint tab here on the left. And so what you see here is, and I'll collapse this, is a view of the active sprint. And the way this sprint has been set up is with a 4-column board. So the to-do column here are the things that haven't been started yet. We have things in progress, things in code review, and things that are done. And to move them around, it's really just through drag and drop. So if I wanted to start this task, I could drag it here. And if I wanted to then, I could click on it and get some more information. And you can see actually that this board has defined as only having a maximum of 3 items in progress, so it's highlighted in red, letting us know we have too many items in progress. So it's a good indicator that we're maybe not following some of the team norms. I can assign this work to myself or really anybody else. I can then, as I work on things, I can then drag them to the next column. I can log work, and maybe I'll say I spent 5 hours on this today, and I'll let the burn down be adjusted automatically, or I can say, actually there's still 7 hours of work to do, so I'll put that. I can log that, and that way the team members can work on the stories in the sprint and log time. They can get details of the sprint. They can add comments. They can create attachments. In addition, they can also get to a lot of the development tools, such as creating branches or seeing what kind of things have happened on that particular story from a development perspective. Another key feature is the reports tab, so we'll go over to this one. So one of the obviously main items in Agile is a burn down chart. So this shows the burn down since the beginning of this particular sprint. There's also a burn up, which shows any time logged and how that works, and sort of a summary of completed issues. For configuration, there's a number of options that you can take a look at. We'll just go there briefly and point those out. One of them is general, and you can set up different filter query if you want to filter down the board to a number of things. You can customize your columns. So if we wanted to add another column in here for testing or peer review, we could add that as well. And we can also adjust the way that estimation is done. So that's a quick overview of JIRA Agile. Support for the software development teams, and specifically how a JIRA issue can be tied into Bitbucket and really the entire software development process. So we're going to pick a story to work on here, and we'll pick this one called Planet Taxi. And in the bottom right, you can see there's a section called Development. And this enables developers to actually go ahead and start to work on this and to integrate in with Bitbucket and Git more easily. So let's start by creating a branch, and we'll click Create Branch here. What this will let us do, it will let us cut a branch off of really any of our repositories. So we'll do the developer toolbox, and we'll decide to do a feature branch, and it's going to give us it's going to pre-name that based on the issue number. So we'll hit Create Branch, and what we'll see now is we're actually in Bitbucket, and this actually shows us what this looks like in Bitbucket. If I go back into JIRA, and if I go back to that issue, which was Planet Taxi, we can see now that it's noted here that one branch has been created, and if I click on it, I can see that branch. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump over to a console, and I'm going to do a git pull, and we're going to, and there we've gone down and we've pulled down the new branch. So if we do a list, we'll see there's some files in there. Let's just, for the sake of testing, edit the README file. So we'll add the word test in there, save that file, do a git status. We can see that the README file has been changed. So we'll go ahead and we'll add that file. We'll do a commit, say test, and we'll push this up. All right, so now we've gone ahead and we push that up to the repo. So if I come back here, I can actually click on this branch, and I can look at this branch, and I can see here is my latest commit. So I can take a look, and I can click on this commit. I can look at the files that have changed inside of here. There's a number of things that we can do to take a look at this. So what I'm going to do now is actually create a pull request for another developer to review. So I'll click on pull requests, And what I'll say is I'll say create pull request, and it will ask me what branch I want to do a pull request on. So I'll pick the branch I've been working on, and there's my one particular commit, and we'll assign this to Emma. So I'll hit continue. I'll say, please review, hit create, and now I've created a pull request for someone else to review. So if I go back into JIRA, and I'll find that issue again, we could see now that within JIRA, it's actually tracking that, okay, there is one open pull request. And so if another developer came in here, they could take a look at this, they could click on this, and then they would be able to go ahead and actually review that pull request and do any other work on that. Handles all the builds and deployments for the Atlassian suite. So what we'll do is we'll start from Bitbucket, and we'll go back into our Teams in Space Developer Toolbox project, and we'll look at the pull request that we had previously created. So if we go into this pull request, we're going to go ahead and actually merge this pull request at this point back to master. So I could add another commit message, and when I hit merge here, it's going to merge it into master. So now that that's merged, what we'll do is we'll go over to our menu, and we'll go to Bamboo. And then to give you a background on Bamboo, the way this is set up is that you have all of your different projects here, and then you can see your latest results for each project. Now, a typical company may have dozens of projects, and within those might be there could be hundreds of builds. So there's ways that this can be filtered down. There's a filter box that people can provide to look at it, to find what they're looking for. In our case, we have our one project, and we have a couple of builds here. So some really important things to notice are that the developer toolbox, a build occurred 21 seconds ago. And that was because when we merged the code, it automatically kicked off a build. So it was very easy to set up a build here to kick that off. So what we'll do is we'll actually go into this developer toolbox, and we'll actually take a look at our build history. So you can see here all of the recent builds that have occurred, and this one is the one that we actually kicked off here 52 seconds ago. You can see that the build was successful, and you can see all the prior builds before that. There's some overall statistics here for the builds, how many successful builds and how many failed over the course of the last 25 builds. And we can kind of drill into different things. If we can look at recent failures and dig into those. We can look at tests. In this case, there haven't been any failed tests, but if there were, we could dig into that. We can take a look at any issues that were tied to those builds. So it gives us a lot of information, including all of the branches that were merged in. So the next thing we're going to take a look at is deployments. Recently. So we'll click on that one. And so this is our build result summary. We can see, again, a lot of the information about the build, the code that was in the pull request and that was merged in. But there's this section over here where we can take a look at deployments. But to create a deployment, we need to create a release. So you can actually bundle up any number of merges or pull requests, commits, essentially into a release. So we'll create a release from this one, and we'll build from master, and we'll just use the latest build result. We could use an earlier one, but we'll use the latest one. The last release was release 4, so we'll just call this release 5. And then we're going to go ahead and create release. All right, so what this does is it creates a release which is now able to be deployed. Now, a few things to take note of here. This is our deployment status. So we can see what releases have been deployed to each of our several environments. So QA has release 4, staging and production have different releases, and of course through the tool security could be set up to allow only certain people in certain roles to do deployments to these different environments. In this case, for the demo, we have that capability. So the next thing to do would be, let's say we want to push this new release out to QA. So I'll go into QA here. And then again, we can see some basic information, but up in the right here, we'll click deploy, we'll say QA, and this will give us a verification window. We can say, okay, yes, I want to promote release 5 to QA, and let me click Start Deployment. And what that's going to do now, that's going to kick off a deployment to that particular server. So what you can see here is actually the log output of the deployment attempt. So if there were any problems with that, we could troubleshoot that, but this build was successful. So now if we go back to look at all the deployment projects, and we take a look at our QA environment for this Teams in Space, we'll be able to see some information. The current release is release 5 of master. We can always get to the logs for that. Or what's being renamed by Atlassian to Bitbucket server. So this is really Bitbucket, but you have the opportunity to host it in your own data center as opposed to using the cloud solution of Bitbucket. For certain organizations, there's some advantages to this. So let me just go through some of the high level features within a Bitbucket server. So again, it looks a lot like Bitbucket. So what we were using before, it's going to look very familiar. We can go in, we can take a look at the different repositories. We can go into a repository, we can see the source code, we can see the list of commits, we can take a look at the branches that are out there, and then we can also look at pull requests, click on those pull requests, and have the opportunity to merge those as well. So this is really a lot of the same that you'd find in Bitbucket, but some of the important differences really are when you get into some of the settings here, and there's some integrations that you can do when you host your own version. So one thing I wanted to just show is permissions, and you can get into some really fine-grained permissions here. There's, of course, repository level permissions, and you can create groups, but there's also branch level permissions. So this is something that might be fairly useful for larger organizations. You can decide that maybe your master branch needs to have different permissions, and maybe only Alana here has permissions for the master branch for writing, because we don't want everybody writing to that. So we can go ahead and create that, and now we're able to limit certain branches to certain people. Some other interesting things that can happen here. One is there's the ability to customize your branching model considerably. So through this, you can really set up a branch prefixes, branching branches and branching models that work well for your organization. In addition, there's some hooks that you can set up as well for external hooks. So you might want to tie into other tools in your organization. So that's one of the nice things. It gives you a great ability to take care of that. The demonstration on the Atlassian tool set, we covered Confluence as a collaboration tool, looked at JIRA for planning and for executing work. We took a look at JIRA Agile and how it helps with Scrum and Kanban. We also took a look at how JIRA integrates with various development tools. Took a look at Bamboo for builds and deploys, and of course Bitbucket for source code. I think what you'll find with the Atlassian tool set is that all of these tools integrate extremely well and really provide you a full ecosystem to help you deliver more code and to be more effective. Thanks for your attendance.